Let's check out this YouTube thing. What the? Oh my god. Well, guys, we just hit 5 years on YouTube. It's kind of crazy and kind of difficult as well to think that 5 years ago I first started the channel and uploaded the very first video onto it. It feels like it's been a lot less time than that. Well, I'm not going to hold you up. We got a lot of history to cover, so we're just going to dive right on in. As the cliche goes, I've been interested in movies since I was a very little kid. I would watch the old Scooby-Doo show from the 1960s, Indiana Jones, the original Star Wars trilogy, Hogan's Heroes, and of course, lots and lots of monster movies, chief among them being Godzilla. My very first memory as a kid is opening up the old Bandai Creations King Ghidorah figure at Christmas, which I still have to this day. The red and orange box with Godzilla 2000 in the corner, breathing his fire at the figure, is so burned into my mind. And according to my dad, my very first Godzilla movie was Godzilla vs. Mothra in 1992, or as I knew it back then, Godzilla and Mothra, the Battle for Earth. Needless to say, Godzilla is without a doubt the most important singular thing to happen to me. I can't really think of anything else that has shaped my interests or guided me more than Godzilla has, as cheesy as that is to say. My very first stop motion that I can remember making was with the Lego Ninjago Ultrasonic Raider set that I got for Christmas. I used a crappy point-and-click camera that my family had and just made something. I had no clue what the hell I was making, but I was doing something, that's for sure. One of the core family traditions my family has is watching the original King Kong every Thanksgiving. My dad grew up in New Jersey, close enough to New York to receive TV signals, and every Thanksgiving he would watch the 1933 King Kong. This was passed down to me and my siblings, and we still keep up the tradition today. One of my favorite things to do would be to watch the bonus features on the second disc where they talk about the Lost Spider Pit sequence, which is arguably the most famous deleted scene from King Kong. In the featurette, the filmmakers of the 2005 remake used stop motion to try and recreate what the sequence might have looked like, and this featurette would have been my first exposure to the concept of stop motion. I had seen stop motion like Wallace and Gromit or Bob the Builder, but this was the first formal and direct exposure to stop motion that I had seen. So for the Lego Ninjago animation, I might have used the knowledge from the featurette and made a short clip, or I was just dicking around with my Legos and a camera. I'm leaning more towards the latter. From that point on, my aspirations went elsewhere. My dream job was to become the first American Godzilla suit actor, as stupid as that sounds. But that dream was crushed about 10 years before I was even born, when Jurassic Park came out. I still wanted to become an actor though, but I never signed up for any school plays or productions or at the local theater, so just through an action, wanting to become an actor died too. But like I said earlier, I was always interested in movies and wanted to do something with them, and stop motion was the most readily available method of achieving that. So my interest in stop motion and animation and directing were all sort of found by accident. My very first superposable action figures were the Sci-Fi Revoltech Gamera and Gauss and the NECA Godzilla 2014. These figures, along with the LEGO stop motion app on my school iPad, reintroduced me to stop motion, and after going to my first G-Fest in 2015, I bought my first SH Monster Arts figure and made the oldest existing animation I could find. This short battle would basically jumpstart my animation journey and would mark the beginning of the modern era of KaiMo films, for lack of a better word. 2016 would be one of the biggest leaps for me. For my birthday, I got a copy of Hue Animation Studios. Not counting the LEGO animation software, since that was on my school iPad and I didn't own it, this was my very first animation software I ever used. Looking back on it now, it's very dated and looks like a piece of software from the mid to early 2000s, but it served its purpose for several years, and was a great way to get a feel for animation and get the basics down. I would definitely recommend getting this software if you're looking to get into animation and don't want to spend a lot of money or use your phone as a camera, since you get a copy of the program and a camera with the set. I eventually learned the entire program inside and out, and an upgrade was required, but we'll talk about that later. We now find ourselves in June of 2017. I had been trying to convince my parents to let me make a YouTube channel for several months now. I was arguing that it would allow for a wider range of an audience, as well as open me up to criticism from people who weren't just my family. I eventually got their permission to make the channel, and on June 7th, 2017, the channel was created, and I uploaded my very first video. Welcome to my channel. The creativity is booming, let me tell you. For the first year of the channel's existence, it was called Amputation Studios, and for every video within that time, which was only a handful, I introduced myself as Amputation Studios. This was an inside joke with me and my family, since when I got the Hue software, I misread Hue Animation Studios as Hue Amputation Studios, causing my mom and my grandma to laugh so hard that their sides began to hurt. So in honor or memory of that joke, I'm not entirely sure which, I named the channel Amputation Studios. I didn't get much traction in my first year, only uploading 8 videos and gaining 33 subscribers. So on my 1-year anniversary, I changed the name from Amputation Studios to KaiMo Films, a combination of kaiju and motion, since that's what the channel was basically all about. I was pretty proud of the name when I came up with it, and to be honest, I still am. Arguably, the biggest thing to ever happen to the channel would come in September of 2018, when I uploaded what would become my best performing video ever. Gypsy Avenger vs. Godzilla started production in April of 2018, and would take 5.5 months to make, needing the entire thing to be reshot and edited. It was all worth it though. It gained over 500,000 views in a year, and is almost single-handedly responsible for where the channel is today. And even though it's aged as well as a Bill Cosby joke, I'm proud of it and couldn't be happier with how it's done. Earlier I had mentioned software updates. For Christmas in 2017, I got DragonFrame, an industry-grade animation software that dozens of professional feature-length movies have been made with. I'm talking Wallace and Gromit, Kubo and the Two Strings, and tons of other stuff have been made using DragonFrame. I had been playing around with the program for a couple of months, and Gypsy Avenger vs. Godzilla was the first proper animation I made with it. I've been using it almost as long as the channel has been around, and I'm still finding new things the program can do. While I do love DragonFrame, it is very expensive, and I think that there are plenty of other animation softwares out there that are a better bang for your buck. And I would really only recommend DragonFrame if you're seriously interested in pursuing animation. Over the next couple of years, I would make more animations and other types of content like behind the scenes videos and live streams. I would also enter Kaijuzilla 621's Godzilla Film Contest in 2018 and win first prize with Godzilla vs. Gundam. And about a year and a half later, I would make Godzilla vs. Gundam 2, making it the only reoccurring series on the channel, and I'm saying reoccurring series very, very lightly there. Both of these would become some of the best performing animations I've made to date. And in 2020, I branched out and started showing up on other people's channels in live streams, fan films, and other videos. I've also invited several people on my own channel for podcasts and live streams. I've met dozens of people because of this hobby, and many of those individuals I consider to be good friends of mine. Alright, that's enough of that schmaltzy, pre-recorded, pre-written, scripted nonsense. We're going to be looking at some of my older videos and reacting to them, going through the list, going from oldest to newest, at least going through the big ones, you know. I'm not going to go through every video, that's like 60 videos I got to go through, but we'll go through a good majority of them, or a good handful of them at least. So we're going to start off with the first one I ever released on the channel, and then we're going to go from there. Alright, so here is my YouTube homepage. As you can see here, I have it selected on oldest. Yeah, this is the first time you can see the red lines that I've watched them, but this is the first time I've seen any of these videos in I don't know how long, probably as long as they've been up. I've probably only seen these maybe 3 or 4 times ever since they came up, or ever since I released them, so no use dawdling. We're just gonna go right on to my first one. Welcome to my channel.
Hey everybody, Amputation Studios here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. First and foremost, I love movies, and that passion has inspired me to make my own stop-motion films. And these films usually revolve around sci-fi, and I like sci-fi. And by sci-fi, I mean things like Godzilla, Marvel, DC, and miscellaneous stuff. So my collection right now is pretty weak.
I'm very specific.
Too diverse, but as this channel grows and takes off, I will begin to diversify so I can appeal to other audience members. So yeah, that's me, Amputation Studios. Bye!
So this was the first, not the first video, but the first, obviously this was the first thing on the channel, but I made this in Hue Animation, which I talked about in the earlier part of the video, and I had just like thrown together whatever I could. I wanted it to be like under a minute long for like the introduction to the channel, I literally just shot the I made this logo in Paint 3D, which is the Microsoft Paint evolution, and then I just took the Monster Arts 2014 Figuarts Mark 46 Iron Man, this Superman, this New 52 Superman, and then the Lego Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think I don't remember if the camera from the Hue set had a microphone in it, but I remember just like talking into a random microphone we had, and then that was it. So quite the debut. I had no script. I remember not having any script at all, and just kind of saying what I like. First of all, I love sci-fi, and by sci-fi I mean Godzilla and Marvel and DC and other miscellaneous stuff. So I had no script, and I just kind of went off whatever was in my head at that point. Godzilla Attacks. This was the first sort of proper animation. 1,700 views, not too bad, especially since 90% of them are mine. I'll explain later. But right now, let's watch. Alright, a lot to unpack here. So, this, I still kind of like this animation. It's a nice intro. So I just made this over the course of 2 days, with the DSLR camera, although you would not assume that given the horrible quality of the image. There's some uncompressed file of this somewhere, because what I did, because this is a re-edit, I took the video file and then brought it into Hue, and then I added in the Godzilla sound effects and the music and the stomps and all that, and then I uploaded that version, and so that's why the picture quality is not DSLR levels. It's because this was basically exported through one of the worst exporting things I've ever used. So not much to say. I obviously, as you can tell by the Super X3 shot, I had no concept of ease in and ease out. I was just like, more frames the better, and I just took pictures of the Super X flying off. So 50 seconds, short and sweet. This uses the Godzilla Appears track from Terror of Mechagodzilla that then got repurposed to Shin Godzilla. And if you even use a little bit of it, it gets copyright claimed. But for some reason, as far as I know, this has not been claimed. I used this track in the Godzilla vs. Gundam 1, and that got copyright claimed, and then I changed it later. But for some reason, this has avoided all detection. I don't know if it was too early before Toho got super strict about it, or if it just went under the radar. So, I'm going to talk about the views for a second here. So within the first year, I got no views at all within the first year. And so what I did was that I would take all the videos in a playlist, or I think there was already like an auto-generated playlist of all the videos that YouTube does. And then I would just repeat the playlist and let it play on my MacBook, because I would have been in high school at this point. And I let it play on my MacBook, our family computer, for like 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 hours at a time. And then after that, I only had 8 videos at that point. They would each get like another 50 views a day, and so that's how I made my that's how I made my views. I fraudulently increased my view count in my first year. Yeah, that's that. Last video that I uploaded within the first year, my beginning.
Hey everybody.
The beginning of my production on Gypsy Avenger vs. Godzilla.
Amputation Studios here.
Amputation
and
Studios.
Something a little bit different. In honor of Pacific Rim Uprising, which came out a little over a month ago, and Avengers Infinity War, which is coming out in less than a week, I want to do a little bit of a stop-motion short video that will also be a crossover with Godzilla, basically.
Alright, so I'm going to spare you the details for this intro. Gobbledygook about paying homage in respect to movies. Awesome Darth Vader shirt, I still have it to this day. And I basically just go through setting up a small set.
So I have the whole city.
As you can see here, I just kind of have the Godzilla effects set buildings right here. Couple of cardboard boxes. And then through the magic of editing with iMovie, you get that neon. I think it's called Neon. You get that neon song for the time lapse.
And then I'm just
Great shot of my knee, by the way. Alright, so basically at the end of this video, I'm just like hoping to get this done by G-Fest. I didn't want to say I was going to G-Fest just for like my own privacy sake for some reason. At that point, we were still kind of new to YouTube and like posting publicly on the internet. So, yeah, my parents didn't want me to say that I was going to G-Fest, and so I just said, for this convention I'm going to make this movie. That didn't happen.
Hopefully I do get this done, and it does get picked for the final contest.
Yep, so I was going to enter this into the film festival contest thing. So that didn't happen, but whatever. Moving on. The pièce de résistance, the creme de la creme of KaiMo fame. Gypsy Avenger vs. Godzilla. I'm sure most of you have seen this, given the fact that it has 627,000 views. Oh, Fox Mulder making an appearance. Alright. My city building wasn't too bad back then. I've definitely slipped over the last little bit, if I'm going to be honest. But back then, my city building was not too bad, if I'm going to be honest. Some repurposed LEGO Avengers sets were used for the touchscreen things. Yeah, again, somewhat decent city building. Yeah. The first destruction of Jump Tower, that fall could have been better. I've had more comments about that 50 caliber sound from Cold War, I don't know, Black Ops, was it? I think people were saying it was from Call of Duty, but it was like a 50 caliber like gun sound effect, and people were like, "Did you use the 50 cal sound effect for that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess. I don't really know. You fucking nerd. Go outside." So, but yeah, plenty of people have stated over the years, like, is that a 50 cal? I was like, yes, it is. Got a nice shot right here. If only you could see what was happening. Oh, more 50 cals. Cinematography ain't too bad. It could be a lot better. It could be lower angle. It's all just like flat shots. That blade on his arm was a toothpick from this Swiss Army knife, and I still have the toothpick. So this is a piece of KaiMo Films history in some way, this Swiss Army knife. So yeah, but these like touchscreen modules are repurposed Lego Avengers pieces from the Hulk like helicarrier set that came out in 2012, and I reassembled them a little bit and then flipped up the panels to make it the same height as the Figuarts figures, and I just used a laser pointer to make the little like buttons being pressed. Same thing with the arc reactor, I should say, too, or whatever this is. I just had a laser pointer, and then that's just a flashlight. The muzzle effects on this, also the 50 cal. It's 50 caliber sound effect. But these muzzle flashes are literally just tissue paper, as you can see by the fraying down here. And it worked fine enough. I actually kind of got the idea to not even bother with that, with any like beam effects. Because in Pacific Rim Uprising, you can see clearly that there is no beam when when Gypsy Avenger uses the proton cannon against the combined kaiju. It's literally just the screen goes white, it overexposes the screen, and they don't bother having any beam for some reason. So I just like, alright, I'll be that lazy too. Yeah. And then it's just your standard fare for an ending Godzilla fight. Again, this is just a laser pointer in the larger chest reactor portion, and then I would just like do frames of it being on and off, and I would just extend that frame. So yeah, not too much else with this. Really, the only thing exceptional about this video is how popular it became. I didn't expect it to be this popular. Within a month, it got 1,000 views, and that blew my mind. And I didn't tamper with any of that. I didn't like artificially increase I didn't artificially increase any of the views. I just let it go naturally. And then it just started gaining views in October and November and December, pretty much all the way up until June the following year, June of 2019. Because that's when I got monetized, and that's when the views just stopped dead in their tracks. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, this is a big video for me. I wish this wasn't the video that got popular, but I'm glad something did at least. Alright, Godzilla vs. Gundam 2, my entry into Kaijuzilla 621 fan film contest. Boy! So, all practical effects. There's that laser pointer again in the here's that laser pointer again. You can see the you can't see me pointing at it. You can see the laser, like the dot here on the scope and on the top of the rifle, and I basically just like put the end of the beam effect into the laser pointer, and yeah, that was that. So that kick was somewhat inspired by Ready Player One, but it's just a kick, to be honest. Tissue paper again, classic. This one I actually do like quite a bit, mostly because of the lighting and the atmosphere of it. So let's see. That little like jab, 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 and then like karate chop up is directly inspired by Jet Jaguar in Save the Earth. That is one of his moves where he like punches Godzilla 3 times and then just a karate chop upwards, and they fly into the air really high. Nobody has gotten that reference. It isn't obscure, but it's like it's not one that you'd immediately think of. So I'm not surprised people didn't. Again, decent city building. All of the lights are little dragonfly Christmas lights in those big like burger toothpicks. I would chop them in half, and then I would take my Swiss Army knife and then create a little split in the end of it, and then I would just like cradle the wire inside of the you can see it in this one. You can kind of see a little bit of a tear or a break in the toothpick, and then I would just rest the wire in that where the split is. The somewhat controversial end to this video. I got some people saying, "How dare you kill Godzilla?" I don't think. I kind of like that shot. I'm not gonna lie, let's rewatch that again. That was probably the best shot of him sheathing his beam saber. Best shot of animation I had done to that point, if that makes it real. So, yeah, somewhat controversial with me killing Godzilla. I say controversial, like 3 people maybe said, "How dare you," out of the 5,000 people who saw it. So, literally half of the movie, like a quarter of it, is credits, and then I have an after credit scene, which nobody's really talked about, so we'll watch that. Cinematography, I've been zooming in and out, or shifting focus, doing like a rack focus and rack focus again. I hate it when movies just like do gunshots and then fade to black. It's not great. It's not good storytelling. It's not a good way to end your movie. And I'm guilty of doing it. So, yeah, do as I say, not as I do, I guess. So, again, this is the 64 Monster Arts. Great figure. Let's see. This was the. This is the Robot Spirits RX-782 Gundam, and then this is the special color version Godzilla 2000 Monster Arts. All 3 of them were actually gifts from my grandparents. Really, if it wasn't for my grandparents, I wouldn't be this deep into collecting as I am. They're really instrumental. So, but yeah, as you can see here, Kaijuzilla contest winner. So. Again, I'm pretty proud of this one, to be honest, in terms of lighting and the way it feels. There's a good atmosphere to it. It's not too bad. It's aged much better than Gypsy Avenger, though. Alright, cutting forward actually, quite a bit, because most of it is just like speed drawings, animation tests, like Mother's Day and Father's Day videos. Not to say that those don't have any value, but they're not really instrumental to my growth. I got the Monster Arts King Ghidorah unboxing and review, both of which did fairly well, especially the unboxing. So can't be mad at that. So yeah, let's see. Right around here was when I got monetized, and then that's when the views went like into the shitter. I was getting like 5 to 10,000 views a day, and between 10 and 50 new subscribers a day, and then I got monetized. And when you get monetized or you join the YouTube partnership program, it says in the fine print, putting ads on your videos could lead to a decrease in views. And I was just like, whatever, I'm getting paid. And then almost immediately I went from, like I said, 5 to 10,000 views a day, 10 to 50 new subscribers a day, to like 500 on a good day, 500 views on a good day, and then like 3 subscribers a day. And then it plummeted even further to now, if I get even like 200 views a day, I'll be lucky. And subscribers are non-existent. We'll take a look at this one, the best birthday video I made for Godzilla. 24 frames a second. We increased from like 15 or 12 to 24. Before Monster Arts. City sets have definitely taken a nosedive. The music in the background is the Gotengo hangar theme when they load up the right before they load up the Gotengo to unleash Godzilla, or free Godzilla from Antarctica. So the whole point of this video was 65th anniversary. It was kind of a King Ghidorah might have king in his name, but Godzilla's the real king. That sort of disgusting fan stuff. One shot I want to talk about. Really big fan of it. It's this rock breaking down here at the bottom. I live streamed me making this, and I remember being like, "Oh, this is gonna be so cool." But you can barely see it. But this is a rock. This is actually a bit of concrete for my driveway, and then it breaks apart into 2 smaller pieces and then just like moves out of the way for Godzilla. It looks pretty decent in motion. Let's watch it again. Pretty good. This was my very first collaboration. This is the KaiMo cast episode with Captain McKay Random, my very first guest and just collaboration in general on the channel. So it's 3 hours long. There's really no like highlight to it, or there's not that there's no highlight. It's just it's a podcast. You can't really do highlights for that. So, but the next big video was Godzilla vs. Gundam 2, which hit 2 years old a couple months ago and just hit 7,000 views. So I'm very happy with this one. So we'll give it a watch. This shot is so... I hate it because either the buildings are shifted incorrectly or my camera is tilted this way and the shot is just at the wrong angle. Although looking at the buildings in the background, I'm thinking that my sets were just tilted a little bit or angled incorrectly. So, the tail. I'm obsessed. I was gonna say I'm obsessed with feet shots. No. I really love that shot from Megaguirus where it's like the view is down an alley and then you see Godzilla's foot just slam up and then like a flaming car just flies by and then it's like the garbage cans fall over, and like I love that shot. And so for some reason I've recreated that same shot where Godzilla's foot goes right in front of the camera. I've recreated it probably 5 or 6 times at this point. So yeah. Back up again, 24 frames a second, not bad. This was the very first time I ever used footage crate effects, as you can see here. I had never used any of them before. This was my first time using them. It's pretty rough around the edges. You'll see here this muzzle flash is pretty awful. Actually, you can't because my camera is missing. Oh, see, and what I wanted to do was have this effect be behind this rock, but I couldn't figure out masking it at that point, and so I just put it in front. But yeah. And then this is one of my flaws with the video. I had had it for a little bit, but this was the first like heavily edited video using VideoPad, because previously what I'd done before was just put all of the sound effects in Dragon Frame and then export that from Dragon Frame and then upload it onto YouTube. And then, like, because everything was practical, all the beams, all the characters flying in the air, everything was all practical. So I literally just needed to do some timing changes and then add in sound effects, and I could do that in the Dragon Frame program and then just export it and then uploaded it. So this was the first time that I didn't do that. I just exported the video, put it into VideoPad, and then put on the effects later. So, but yeah, this is, again, first time using footage crate effects, and as you can see here, before the shot even finishes, one disappears 2 frames before, and the other one disappears 1 frame before the end of the shot. So, I love this shot right here. Pretty great. This shot is a big deal for me. This kick right here, or this knee. This is the very first shot I ever did rig removal for. As you can probably, it's not too bad. You can see a little bit here along the rocks where, not right here, but you can see where the stand would have been. You can kind of see it a little bit right here. You can see just a little bit, right here. You can see it right here. I had this here helping hand. This is a soldering tool. You'll put like motherboards or circuitry or whatever in these little rubberized alligator clips. And what I had done was put this clip on the little butt flap on the Gundam, because there's a little flap that opens up that you can plug in a Tamashi stage effect stand into, and I just used that to support the figure. So again, pretty simple. And then this actually took me quite a while to figure out, because I shot it and I had no idea how to do it. And so what I did was that I took the raw image file, or the raw photos, brought them into GIMP, and then edited out as best I could, taking previous frames from the photo, or previous frames from the video, and then cutting out the stand, and then underneath would be essentially a clean plate, because I didn't take a clean plate of this at all. I would to get rid of the stand here, I would take a photo from like over here where there wouldn't be, where the Gundam wasn't, because the Gundam would be right here, and I would just take this and then get rid of the stand over here, or whatever the case would be. So I filmed this when lockdown first happened. I filmed this middle of March, and then I didn't touch it for a month and a half, and then I finally spent just like 2 or 3 days editing it at the end of January, or no, end of April, uploaded it, and here we are today. So great bounce. I still like that shot. Good energy. It's nice and fast. burnt shield. I've had a lot of people asking me about that. I literally just took the model kit shield and then just took a cigarette lighter and just melted it. And that's how I got that effect. So it looks pretty great. And it's a model kit shield, by the way. It's from the old, like, RX-72 Revival model kit or whatever. It's not the Robot Damacy shield. I wouldn't burn that. My first kip up. First and only kip up. Again, same thing. Just took the lighter and burnt the arm. And then I have an Instagram story of me putting the arm on the ground in my garage, taking a hammer and smashing the shoulder. And so that's why his shoulder, or his arm, fell off. It's because I literally smashed the shoulder with a hammer. So. And a much faster credit sequence compared to Godzilla vs. Gundam 1, which Raph criticized me for having half the video be credits. So, moving on. Oh, ACBA logo, by the way. King Kong vs. Barbados. It's a short one. Donnie Flip on Instagram. Donnie? I'm not sure how to say it. Donnie, but anyway. He had a 20-second one-take, like, crossover contest last summer where you had to make a crossover, like, 20-second one-take animation. That was a crossover between two franchises that hadn't been crossed over. So you couldn't do Godzilla vs. Kong, Alien vs. Predator, X-Men, and Capcom. You couldn't do, like, X-Men. You couldn't do like Wolverine versus Ryu or something like that. Or like Superman versus Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. So I opted for King Kong versus Gundam Barbados, and this is the NECA King Kong, and then later you'll see the Master Grade Barbados. I actually, specifically for this video, I went to Target and bought the Jungle and Concrete King, like, ultimate versions that come with the pterodactyl and the plane and the stick, just so I could get this closed mouth to go with the like modern day roaring head with the original Kong release. So Donnie gave me some criticism, saying there's a couple shots that are just a bit too that linger a bit too long. Not bad action. Good effort there, Kong pulling the arm off, although he just kind of just reaches and just grabs the arm, or grabs the head. So Donnie was saying that a couple of shots linger a little bit too long, but this is shot at 15 frames a second, and this, like I said, I actually really like this animation. Good energy, good follow through, good motion. It's not too slow to where it's like, oh, that's bad, but it's also not too quick where it's like, what just happened? It's the right amount of it's the right amount of setup and payoff and build up. So, except for this, again, he just reaches and grabs Barbados' head off, so. Next! Alright. Probably my best bit of animation I've ever made. Or at least, it's definitely up there. This SH Monster Arts Godzilla 1954 stop motion. This one went over well with a lot of people. Alright, so not much to talk about, really. I just wanted to mess around with the 54 figure. I had never animated with it up until this point, and I just wanted to do something with it. The background is just a black bit of foam core, or the ground is a bit of foam core, and the background is just, it's actually a green screen, but with the desaturation brought all the way down, you wouldn't know. So I added a film grain effect from Footage Crate, and then the sound effects, it's just wind, because I like the idea when there's no sound or when there's no music, I like just wind sound effects from monster movies because it adds a bit of eeriness to it. And then while Godzilla's moving his tail and walking around, I use the footage crate earthquake sound effect to make it sound like he, there's a lot of weight, like a giant monster is moving around. So you can hear it here. And those little explosions completely not planned to have the tail like move up and down to those explosions. I had no idea those were in there, but they just somehow coincidentally perfectly lined up. So I really like this animation, and it might be the best bit of animation I've made, if not ever. Maybe not ever, but definitely in a long time. Alright, and then the most recent animation, how every Godzilla fight should go. Poorly worded, it should be how every Godzilla fight should end. But, yeah. So. Inspired by One Punch Man. See, I'd been watching... I'll finish. Alright, so I've been watching a lot of Mootroid X Productions when I made this, because I think his latest Halo animation came out at this point. So I wanted to have that same like animated energy that his videos had for Obsidian Fury, and so he has very quick and fast animations, and it still looks good. It looks really good, actually. I like the way his motions are. They're quick and they're fast, and they kind of fit the character. I spent a lot of time on this hand motion. Yeah. Don't know what else to say about this. I used some red finger pointer lights to make the ignition of the blades. For this shot, going back to the beginning, I used Lego to start the ignition, I guess, whatever you'd call it, for the blades, and then they would turn into the swords. And motion looked pretty good. Could be better. It could, I wish it weren't Lego. I wish it were something else to make it look, instead of like Lego turning into saw blades, it would look like a flat black piece turning into saw blades, but I don't know what I would have used. Got an anime shot right here. At this point I had gotten a lot better using the footage crate effects, because this looks much better. I wish Godzilla were lit up, or he was lit up with a blue light instead of just a regular white light. I think I used a bike light for that. So, yeah, and then I just have like Godzilla sighing the same way Saitama does when he fights somebody, and he's like, "Oh my god, it's over again." Well, going through my videos, I think that's kind of all the major stopping points, really. I can't think of much else to go through. Yeah, I don't know what else to go through. I kind of spilled the beans on everything and gone through all like the major animations and major videos that kind of got the channel to where it is right now. Yeah, I guess this reaction segment is done. Shit. Well, that about wraps it up for the history of KaiMo films. I went through what got me into animation, all the major big events of the channel, and I even reacted to some of those major big events on the channel. It's been a really fun time over the last 5 years trying to figure out what interests me and what doesn't, and figuring out what works and what doesn't, both in terms of animation and on the YouTube side as well. From frequent to infrequent upload schedules, from horrible, disgusting face cam videos like this one, to intricate and detailed animations, you guys have really shown your support over the last 5 years, and I really can't thank you enough. And I don't think there's a thing about the channel or its history that I would change, and I'm really proud of what I've been able to accomplish over the last 5 years. I have plenty of potential fan film ideas and even some original ideas of my own that'll be coming in the near to not so near future. Can't really promise much of anything, to be honest. I'll give you a little clue as to what one of my original ideas is. It's based on an episode of One Step Beyond, and it's going to be a sort of psychological claustrophobia thriller, and I have several ideas and several shots in my head that I just need to find some way to put onto film, and hopefully you'll eventually be able to see it. Again, I just want to thank you for your continued and ongoing support and viewership over the last 5 years. Here's to another 5.